Hello and welcome viewers watching the news live on your television screens as well as on our social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook. I'm Salome Takhlai and I'll be with you for today's news. Stay tuned. President Debretsion Gebremichael said his government has set a time frame for the restoration of basic services in Tigray and the withdrawal of enemy forces from Tigray's territory, and has communicated this to the Ethiopian government and other important actors. The president emphasized that a peace process cannot commence as these services remain blocked and while Tigrayans forcibly displaced by these forces continue to suffer. Sara Kallal. In his latest address to the press, President Debretsion Gebremichael said that his government is yet to take part in any direct talks with the Ethiopian government and stated that his government has made it clear to possible mediators that no process could begin before basic services were restored and while hostile forces continue to occupy and commit gross violations of human rights in Western Tigray.
አገልግሎት ይጀመር ይልና አይተጀመረን ንሶሙን ይፈልጥየም አገልግሎት ክጅመር እሳቶም ተራራጀ ምልም በአሜሪካ ቢልና ማለት ስለዚህ አያኒያን ተጀመር ምርዳ ያለ ግን ክጅመር ጊዜውን ተቀሚጥሉ ነው ነሪ ዘይምልሱ እንተ ኮይነሙን መልሲ እናና አይዶልን ማለት ዝምልሱ አንተ ኮይነምካ ያው መልሱ መለው ዛዓ ፍጻጽሙ ከመይ ተግባሪና ከነብል ሰው ብልና ምጽባይ ዝባል ግን የለን ስለዚህ ንሕና ማዓልትኒና አሚጥኒና ሳው አንተ መልሰው ምን ሐድ ይሉ ማለት ወይ ከጀመሪ ዘይጀመር ተኮይኑ ነው ዋዕና ስራሕ ዝሰርሕ
The president emphasized that the international community should not understand the naming of negotiators to mean that the Ethiopian government is in any way more serious or committed to negotiations, and that a serious attempt towards peace should start with an end to all hostilities, with the restoration of basic services and with the restoration of status quo ante.
Committee ገለመለ መስዑ ንስኻቱም ከኢሎምና ኮሚቴ ለአኸን ወንተዋይልና ኢና ተራዚ ይፍለጠ እንቶም ኬንያውን ነገርናዮም ዋኸም መሰለ حساب اللي كنت تقبرنينا زولون اللوع نسن تيتودع أين مس.
The president also took some time to thank diaspora for the work they have been doing, advocating for their people.
بدك زل تقرأي diaspora بقى نسي أمباسادر ناصر أمباسادر زبهال تبدأ بسرعة أمباسادر نسوقن جوبز أمباسادر دخوينه أنكرا أمباسادر كجورز جبا ببجوزو توديهم ببولكمون بعلم كم يسخدون توم سوى سلطانات بولكم يهودو توديهم يهودو تسلفهم يا صراحة زلي في التي نميديا يهودو نكسع يهودو التي أنا زخون دقف تبديلنا هنا دقفنا زول ملك تبعتهم. The government of Tigray issued a statement saying it was appalled by a video surfacing on social media that shows mass graves in one of many internment camps holding Tigrayans in the Afar state. The government said thousands of Tigrayans across Ethiopia are being arbitrarily and indefinitely held in these camps, where they have little access to food and medication, leading to the death of many women, children, and the elderly, and said the internment camps were just one means through which the Ethiopian and Eritrean governments would continue to execute genocide against the people of Tigray.
The government of Tigray issued a statement condemning violence against Tigrayans in the Afar state, following the publication of a mass grave in an internment camp in Samara. The statement said the video was just one demonstration of the scale of violence against innocent Tigrayan civilians in Ethiopia, referring to it as a genocide. But the statement did not, however, go without thanking communities in Afar that has played an important role in exposing atrocities against innocent Tigrayans in the state. The statement said that the internment camps in Samara that are holding thousands of Tigrayans are composed of innocent migrants deported from Saudi Arabia, and that others were survivors of the Ab'ala massacre, as many Tigrayans in the state continue to be killed, displaced, and their properties looted in an effort to sow a seed of hate between the people of Afar and Tigray. The statement said the detainees were being held in horrid conditions in these overcrowded internment camps and were not being provided with food or medication, leading to the deaths of many, including children, women, and elderly. The office stated that more than 17,000 Tigrayan members of the National Defense Forces and hundreds of thousands more are languishing in several internment camps all over the country, and that the international community needs to take a decisive action that can compel the Ethiopian government to release these detainees without any preconditions. The office also called on the international community to play its part to ensure that an independent investigation is conducted on all crimes committed on Tigrayan residents in Afar.
Tigray External Affairs Office issued a statement on the eve of the arrival of UN's International Commission of Human Rights experts on Ethiopia to Addis Ababa. The office said the commission should take all necessary measures to ensure that the investigation is seen as credible by all sides, and including through ensuring the equal participation of all sides. The statement also recalled that the government of Tigray has established a high-level task forces to cooperate with the commission on all necessary matters and vowed its continued support for the commission's work. Abil Zagab reports.
Tigray External Affairs Office issued a statement on the eve of the arrival of UN's International Commission of Human Rights experts on Ethiopia to Addis Ababa, saying that if the Commission expected for its work to be taken seriously, it would have to engage all parties to the conflict. The office said that the Commission should take all necessary measures to ensure that the investigation is seen as credible by all sides and ensure that the Ethiopian government does not play an undue part in the process, and that this would include disregarding the joint report produced by state-appointed Ethiopian Human Rights Commission and the Higher Commissioner for Human Rights to ensure that the newly appointed commission can dictate the terms of the new investigation, unencumbered by the highly contested joint investigation. The office also stated that allowing Abiy Ahmed's government to dictate the process would defeat the very purpose of undertaking independent investigation, stating concern that the Ethiopian government is attempting to revise the mandate of the investigation by having it only cover events since June of 2021, which conveniently trimmed the scope of the investigation to put it in line with political interests of Abiy Ahmed. The statement finally stated that the government of Tigray is confident that the Commission will discharge its responsibilities with the utmost integrity and remains committed to making the Commission's work a success. As part of its commitment, the government of Tigray has established a high-level task force with full authority to manage all the cooperation.
Goitom Ghebreselassie has captured the world's imagination after her record-breaking performance at this year's Athletics World Championship in Oregon that won Ethiopia the gold medal in women's marathon last Monday. But this 27-year-old story of victory is perhaps eclipsed by the fact that for more than a year, the world champion has not been able to communicate with family members and is unsure about the state of their health. The year-long siege on Tigray has meant that even Goitetom, a world champion that has earned her country a gold medal in record time, cannot share her victory with family members in Tigray. Our reporters visited her family in Tigray in southeastern Tigray to meet her family who share their excitement but say they miss their daughter dearly. Haile Gebra has the details.
Goitetom Ghebreselassie has captured the world's imagination after her record-breaking performance at this year's Athletics World Championship in Oregon that won Ethiopia the gold medal in the women's marathon last Monday. But the 27-year-old's story of victory is perhaps eclipsed by the fact that for more than a year, the world champion has not been able to communicate with family members and is unsure about the state of their health. The year-long siege on Tigray has meant that even Goitetom, a world champion that has earned her country a gold medal in record time, cannot share her victory with her family members in Tigray. We traveled to meet with her mother, Britu Kasu, and father, Ghebreselassie Takhlesgi, in Mayqayah in southeastern Tigray, who say they are very proud of their daughter.
I'm so happy for her. Her efforts bred fruit. I'm very happy about that. But I can't fully celebrate while knowing other mothers are yet to hear from their children.
Her parents tell us that it's been close to years since they have heard from their daughter, with the siege blocking all access to the region.
It's been 2 years now since we last saw our daughter in person.
She used to call us right after a win. We would have a party here with family to celebrate her victories. But now it's bittersweet because we can't share this moment with her. She's sad not to be able to hear from us, and so are we.
She would call us every night at 9 a.m. I wouldn't be able to sleep without hearing her voice. I don't know how she's dealing now. She used to call us from wherever she was. She had bought us a phone so we could stay in contact.
Her parents say they are hopeful they will see their daughter again soon. But until then, ask us to pass along this message.
My beloved daughter, Gotei Tome, I am very happy. My joy has no bounds. But for our celebrations, whole is to have peace so that we can see each other again. But I want you to know how happy I am about your victory.
My daughter, you continue to make the people of Tigray happy and proud. May our happiness be complete and may we see each other again soon.
For more than a year now, ordinary Tigrayans have been denied access to vital services such as telecommunication, power supplies, and essential items like food aid and medication. But though all this, Tigrayan athletes have continued to persevere, winning medals for the country that is holding their families hostage.
His Holiness Abuna Tesfa Selassie Medhin, Bishop of the Tigray Catholic Church, said, much needed assistance continues to be withheld by the Ethiopian government, affecting the most vulnerable communities in Tigray. Abuna Tesfa Selassie said he supports all efforts towards peace, but asked that the needs of the most vulnerable communities be prioritized. Abraham Gabriel has the details.
His Holiness Abuna Tesfa Selassie Medhin, Bishop of the Tigray Catholic Church, called the continued blockade on Tigray a death sentence on the most vulnerable and said it violates international humanitarian laws.
Unfettered humanitarian aid, be it in a war or peacetime, should be able to reach all those in need. Blocking assistance would mean passing a death sentence on those who are most vulnerable. It also indicates that these forces are using hunger as the weapon of war.
The bishop said that they believe that perpetrators of the war on Tigray will be held accountable for their crimes and that history and world should never forget what is unfolding in Tigray.
Every other minute of this blockade is taking the lives of many children and the elderly. And I am here to tell those that have declared the war and are working to maintain the blockade should be aware that they are committing a sin in front of God and criminal acts for which they will be held accountable.
Finally, His Holiness called the warring parties in Tigray to start negotiations, underscoring that the people of Tigray are perishing amid elusive hopes of possible peace talks.
ንሰላም ቦታታት ዓድታት ከሻበት ቆፅርን ማሻሹን ህዝቢ ዝብላ ዝስተ መሐከሚ ሲኢኑ ይሃልቅ ስለዘሎ
The people of Tigray are perishing due to the man-made hunger and lack of medical services. So negotiation for a peaceful resolution of the conflict should come at the earliest possible time. At the religious institute, our church supports all efforts from both parties to bring a peaceful end to this war. Peace is our mission, and we continue to pursue it.
Improved access to agricultural inputs such as fertilizers, improved seeds, and pesticides has increased the level of production for farmers in Tigray over the past decades. But the year-long siege on the region has meant that these farmers have not been able to access these inputs and have already started to sell their lands without them. Our reporter Winta Kidana met one farmer in the district of Khulta Lalo, a father of 6 who is afraid he will not be able to feed his children with his harvest. Winta Kidana reports.
Gabra Xabir Tsagai is a farmer in the district of Oro, Eastern Tigray. Like all farmers in Tigray, Gabra Xabir is concerned about the planting season. Most farmers in Tigray have not had access to basic agricultural inputs such as fertilizers, pesticides, or improved seeds, and they're concerned that they will produce no too little to feed their family members.
There is no seed, there is no fertilizer too. The blockade has made things quite difficult for farmers in Tigray. I don't know if the land will be able to grow anything without fertilizers. It's gotten used to it already. We're using composts as an alternative, but I don't think it will work.
Gabra Xabir says agricultural inputs are essential for a farmer's productivity, and that is in this time.
I don't have my own land, but I rent this plot and plowing it with my own oxen and share half the product with its owner. I have never plowed this land without fertilizers. I used to plant improved seeds of wheat here with the help of experts. When we had access to fertilizers and improved seeds, this small plot of land used to give me 10 quintals.
Gabra Xabir says the impacts of the siege has been devastating for him and his family, who are now going to bed on an empty stomach.
I am a breadwinner of my family. I have 7 kids. All of them used to go to school. Plowing this land was how I used to provide for them. My kids used to have more than enough to eat, enough clothes, and anything else they needed. I had a good life, but now kids have nothing to eat. They go to sleep on empty stomach. It's hard to see that as a father.
The situation was somewhat similar last year during the occupation of Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. According to ገብረ እግዚአብሔር, he says soldiers used to threaten farmers who were plowing their lands.
Last year, we were told not to plow our lands by both Ethiopian and Eritrean soldiers. We did the first round of plowing whenever after ensuring they were not around. If they somehow find us working in the land, they would interrogate us to know why we were plowing or doing anything at all with our land. Later, they killed 3 members of a family in their farm and in front of their kids. They forbid their families from burying the bodies. They left the bodies in the farm for days, so to terrorize other farmers into obeying them.
The devastating impact the siege has had on Tigrayan household is perhaps indescribable, but the impact of the siege on farmers is an indication of how much more catastrophic things could get in Tigray.
Ago is an ethnic minority group in the Amhara region living in areas bordering Tigray. In addition to being impacted by the conflicts, the area has also been affected by the siege on Tigray, with aid agencies being blocked from reaching the area and vital services being discontinued for over a year. We visited the area and spoke with residents and a local administrator that says no aid agencies have so far reached the area and pledged with the world to do what it can to give assistance to the many in need. Haile Gabro has the details.
For over a year now, Tigray has been a subject of a devastating siege that has blocked all essential goods and vital services, including the discontinuation of services such as telecommunication and banking, forcing many to starve. This is the district of Bervita in the Amhara region. Its residents are the Ago people, a minority ethnic group in the region. The area is one of many to be affected by the ongoing conflict, but more devastating has been the siege that made it impossible for residents to access food assistance and medical care.
I'm in a difficult situation. I have nothing to eat. I don't have clothes. I don't have shoes. It's been so long since I've had injera with some form of sauce. We eat dry injera. We can't even afford to buy paper to eat along with it. The child you see here, I don't know what to feed her. If I'm able to find some food, I give it to her and hope the feeling of hunger goes away.
Our house is empty. We look to God and ask what He plans to do with us. We are close to dying of hunger. We are being punished with starvation.
Almost halfway through the planting season, the residents say they have no access to essential inputs. They say they feel the worst and expect conditions to become only more difficult.
We're always, as you see us here, pleading with God to help us. There's not a drop of food in my house. We just watch the sun rise and then set again. We have nothing to eat or drink. There's nothing in our home but water. We're not planting either. There are no grain seeds or water. We are yet to plant anything.
Alefa Brhanu, a local official in the area, pleads with aid agencies to serve the millions in dire need in the area.
The people are desperate. We haven't been able to communicate with aid agencies. The area is also difficult to access. Everyone is hungry. Everyone is suffering. If it continues in this manner, things will be so much more difficult. We need aid agencies to do what they can for the people of this district.
Global Society of Tigrayan Scholars and Professionals, GSTS, issued a statement on Saturday congratulating Professor Mituku Haile after he was awarded the World Agriculture Prize. The society thanked the professor for his dedication to Tigrayan farmers, but asked that the world works together to ensure that these gains are not permanently reversed due to the war on Tigray. Abel Zigao has more.
Global Society of Tigrayan Scholars and Professionals issued a statement on Saturday congratulating Professor Mituku Haile on being awarded the World Agricultural Prize. The society said what the world recognizes the dedication of Mituku It is also important to remember that much of what the professor had helped build has been devastated by the war waged on Tigray. The statement said the world laureate wasn't able to receive his prize in person due to the siege on Tigray, and said the world should break its silence in face of the suffering of millions in Tigray, most of them farmers, whom the professor had dedicated his life to serving, and said the world needed to act to ensure that the professor's work over the past few decades wasn't in vain. Professor Mutsuko got his bachelor and master's in science from Addis Ababa University and his PhD from Ghent University in soil science and land evaluation. The professor served Ethiopia at various levels of government, including as its representative to the UNESCO. He is pointer to the birth and expansion of Maqala University, a prominent institution in the country, enrolling almost 7,000 students every year.
That's it for me and the whole team here in Maqala. Thank you.